and welcome to the ArtsyFartzy Club. My name is Mrs. Johnson, and I am so happy that you are here with me today. Sorry about the late start, guys. If you don't know, I have a master's degree in art education and for kids. And more often than not, it is a struggle bus to get them out of the house on time. So it is a general rule that we will start at 11-ish. Okay. So that being said, we have lots of fun things going on today. And I just realized I didn't grab my scissors. We might need that later. And that is a bummer. So let me go grab those. Just 1 second. So we'll just edit that out. Nobody needs to see that in the replay crew. Okay. Scissors. These are some OG scissors, so we'll see how these work. They're old and they need to be oiled. They're like the real scissors, shears that can be sharpened at the blade sharpener place. Okay, so let's go clickety click click and zip over to our picture-in-picture. Ta-da! All right, so we're gonna be making a cardboard teddy bear today. And if you don't have cardboard, you can do this on a heavy paper or cardstock, even a heavier like construction paper. But I am going to be painting it. So I think that would be sad if you don't get to paint yours. But you could shade with crayons if you're using a construction paper, or we can make it work. Okay. So I'm going to show you the general idea of how I started this project, and then we're going to move on to the cardboard. So I freehanded my cardboard shapes. Now, if I do this, I did it for winter. I did a penguin. If I do this project, and I probably will, do this in the studio as a workshop. So I have an in-home studio where I teach students art, and I would have these pre-cut for them ready to go. So to save time. So like if you're doing an hour block, you don't want the kids trying to cut out cardboard. That it can be very tough for little hands that don't have the kind of muscle grip like an adult. So I would started with a kind of an ovular shape, and then a vertical oval for the body, horizontal-ish ovals for the ears. Okay, and then once I had that shape, I cut that shape out, and then I can use that as my template. I would trace around that shape for all of the other teddy bear shapes that I would make from that point on. And then did you guys know there are electric cardboard cutters or electric scissors? They're on my Amazon list. I really want a pair, because cutting out, 10 students' cardboard shapes by hand is challenging and exhausting. Okay. So if you are a little friend, I hope that you have your scissor skills. I kind of blazed right through that section. But if you are one of my younger friends, we put our thumb in the little hole, our fingers in the big hole. And when I cut, my thumb is pointed at the ceiling. Okay, but that's not the point of our lesson today. The point of the lesson today is actually, it's more for the teachers than it is for the students. But if you are a student, you can follow along, certainly. Okay, so then this is my tracer for other cardboard bodies. But I also am going to use this as the tracer for my other body parts. The other body parts being the arms and the legs. So I know how big the body of my teddy bear is, and then I want to cut arms that would fit inside that shape. So I didn't have to put it that way. I could have put it this way, You know, it doesn't matter if that head runs off the paper. This is just to give me an idea of where I would place my arms. Okay, and then I would go, okay, so that's my arm. This is my leg shape. I would cut these out, and then to get identical shapes, use this as a template to cut out the other shape. So let's show you on the real cardboard. For the sake of time, I'm not going to sit here and cut out all of my paper shapes when I already have them cut out on the cardboard. So I would take that shape, cut it out. Now retrace it on the paper anywhere. It doesn't have to be a line on the body. Anywhere. Trace it out the opposite way. And then I have an arm and an arm that match. Okay. So if you look, my two arms, if I line them up, they are identical onto each other. Same for the legs. Okay. I would flip that, cut it out. Now I have two matching legs. All right. Here we go. We're already ready for our paint. So I cut out all my cardboard shapes and I am ready to go. I even pre-punched just for the sake of trial and error, but we'll talk about punching the holes in your project in just a moment. All right. So I'm a little hot today. Here we go. So we're going to talk about tints and value. Okay. Value as being our element of art that we're focusing on for the day. And I can make my teddy bear any color. So if I was to do this with students, I would give them some choices of base colors. And you could go, okay, blue, purple, green, red, whatever base color you want to give them. And then I would say, I want you on your plate to make different values. So going from the pure color that we're starting with to the lightest light of that color. This is called making a tint. Anytime that you add white to a color, you are making a tint of that color. So it should gradually get darker, darker, darker. Kind of put these two close together. I wanted you to kind of see what I'm working with here. Okay, I do want them to look different, so I'm grabbing more red. I want this third color I'm mixing to be definitely darker than my medium tone. I can even mix. I'm just going to do it, folks. Grabbing it all. Okay. Mix, mix, mix. Probably shouldn't have grabbed a red plate while I'm mixing reds for you guys. And I'm making a huge painty mess. Okay, that being said. Okay, so I've got 3 tones. And I might want that white to be even whiter. White, not white, but that lightest tint to be even lighter. And then this somewhere in between. Okay, let's scrape my extra paint off my brush as much as possible. Rinse. Clean it off on my rag. Okay, so that being said, tints and shades. Especially for the arms and legs, the tints and shades are going to become important because it's going to create a difference for the visual of the arms against the body. We really want those arms to stand out, okay? So I'm going to pretend that the lightest shade of the lightest tint of my teddy bear is in the center. And then it's gradually going to get a little bit darker as I go out from that center area. Okay. Some of the kids might know this as an ombre now, right? In modern time, we have ombre hair and ombre nails. And okay, so just kind of blend it. Want it all to blend together. I should have had a protective paper under my teddy bear today, but I didn't do it. So I'm going to have to wash my table. Okay. Working fast. The key is to work fast so that we're able to blend those paint colors. Want to go back toward that medium again. Trying to blend that transition from the medium tone to the darker value of the pink. And then trying to get a little bit of red toward the edges. And then you'll see why that's important later. I'm doing the body first so that the background can dry, and then we're going to come back in and address doing the face. So I want to blend that in a little bit. So I rinse off my brush, use that kind of damp brush to blend the red in with that dark pink. Okay. So now when you're talking about the value with your students, so a tint is adding white. So if I add white to red, I make lighter and lighter and lighter shades of pink. Every time I add white, that value becomes lighter and it becomes a lighter pink. If I was to do that on purple, what color would I make? And they might say light purple, or they might say lilac, or anything like that. Having them start to think in different names is cool. And so then we have blue, and it's going to become a medium blue to a baby blue or a light blue. And green, it's going to make mint green or sage or whatever. So getting them to think differently about their colors, that they're able to make a whole world of paint colors. Just from very few colors, right? We just give them those basic rainbow colors, and then they are able to make a world, a palette, an endless palette, just from 6 colors and white and black. They can make any color they want. So having them understand that they have this power, this control to an endless imagination. Okay, And now to that darker value. Now, what's going to be a problem in a little bit is that I'm going to need to remake those values because I'm using them up. And for those arms and legs. So trying to color match is a little bit of a challenge. So remind them to keep those colors on their palette, to not just mix it all together in one lump, so that they're able to color match it when they're done. Okay, and get that red toward the edges to make it the darkest of the value. Blending in that true red. So you could do this project anytime. Of course, I'm thinking to our Valentine's projects here. It's nice to have some holiday related projects. They don't have to be blatantly holiday per se. All right. Okay, so that guy's good. We're going to let him go, live his life until he dries. Okay. Now, so I'm going to do this again using those values, but now we're going to do it on the legs. So I got to reset my palette. Lots of white for that first one. Oh, I just got myself with paint. Mrs. Johnson's running out of paint. Bloop. Big bloop. Medium bloop. Tiny bloop. All right, now the trick to color match. What can you see? Okay. Making that lightest tint. Try to get as much of, oh, I didn't dry my brush. It's very watery. Try to get as much of that paint off. Medium tone. I think I'm going to need a little bit more white there. And I think I might need a little bit more white there. Actually, this one might be okay. It's just a dab more white here, maybe. Ooh, oh, that's a lot. It's a big dab. That's a big dab. All right. Somewhere in between. There we go. That's not too bad. Okay. So that being said, actually, I'm going to start with our medium tone, as long as I've got it on my brush. And so this time, for the legs and the arms, I want it to be okay, we were giving dimension to the body. So we're trying to make it kind of look rounded here, right? So this part is coming out more toward us. That's highlighted. It's the lightest. And the value going toward the edges, the outside. Now for the legs, I want it to look as if, and I'm going to put the legs behind actually for a reason, but I want it to look like the light is coming down at it here, and then the darker is going to be at the bottom. The shadows are at the bottom. So since I have the medium tone, I'm going to put it in the middle. Okay. And then coming in with our darker tone. Blend, blend, blend. Trying to blend these, right? Working fast so that they blend. Okay, and then the red at the very bottom. Now, you see how it's kind of becoming line-like? Sometimes we'll have students do that. They're like, medium, darker value, darkest value, and they will be like literally in lines. But we want to try to teach them that value isn't going to be like that in true life unless it's a angular object. So we want to try to blend, encourage them to blend those colors, okay? To make a gradual transition. All right. And then last but not least, that lightest value at the top. And I might, because it's been a while, might have to come back in with more of that second lightest value. Oh, it's blending. It's still wet. Yay. Yay. Okay, never mind. But if that original, if they don't work fast enough, you might have to come back in with that second lightest paint and blend it. And that's okay. That's okay. As long as they're learning to work it. It's okay to come back in. It's okay to layer the paint. Okay. Got a little too light there. Boop, boop. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, so see where I'm going with this? Light to dark, light to dark. Set those aside to dry. Now, for the arms, same concept. Lighter here, darker toward the body, as if the light is hitting it from the top and creating a curve shape. We're going to go clean my brush because I just ended on the darkest. Go into that medium tone. Start in the middle. Check Instagram just in case. Hi, friends. Hey, Miss Lorraine. Okay. Now, I'm going to go to the second darkest tone. Try to blend, blend, blend. Same here. Now, these are acrylic paints, my friends. I forgot to mention that. Acrylic paints will dry faster. That is a plus on this project, especially if you only have an hour to work with your friends. They tend to be more opaque and they will dry faster, allowing you to have better coverage and quicker production time. All right. Are we good? Okay. All right, and then the lightest tone. So wash my brush, dab it on my rag, get that lightest tone. Try to blend, blend, blend with that medium tone. Once again, don't be afraid to come back in with your medium tone if you need to. I think it's drying too much on this one. So I'm going to come back in with that medium tone to make that gradation. Think of all the vocabulary that you can work on with these kids. Value, tint, gradation. Here we go, medium tone. Blend, blend, blend. Ooh, a little bit of the red from my table's getting on there again, but that's okay. We'll blend it in. Okay, and this guy, grabbing the medium tone. Blend, oh, you stinker. I might have to go back in with the second darkest tone because I just blended some white from my brush. Oh, shame, shame. Shame, shame. Well, I had a student use this brush and it is permanently weird. Sad face. So, and I knew that the last time I used this brush and I didn't change out my brush. What you gonna do? Okay. Good brushes matter. All right. So now they value light to dark, light to dark. Set this aside to dry. And for the sake of the mess, I am going to clean my table. So it's a little less crazy and doesn't get on my project. I like to work with rags versus paper towel because just watching the kids eat the paper towel or use the paper towel like it's water is crazy. It's crazy. It's expensive for an art program. So especially if you have a home studio, rags are the way to go. You can throw them in the laundry, reuse them for the next time. You don't care what they look like. Yes, that's like crazy dirty. I don't remember the last time I washed this particular rag because it's mine, but it will permanently stain, yes, but it is an art rag. That's its purpose in life. Just go to Walmart, buy a pack of whatever clearance or cheap washcloths they have, and ta-da, you have art rags. All right. Okay. So back to the body. Now we are going to see if we can do a little bit of a rainbow roll effect, or I don't know, this brush is not my favorite right now. Let's see. I'm going to use the medium tone, half medium tone. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here, guys. It's hard to see. But half medium, half second to darkest. Okay. And I am going to use the lighter tone on the top. Okay. Doing it again. So it's like you're pulling a rainbow roll. Oh, you stinker. Got a little of the red sneaked over. Let's get that. Okay. And the reason I'm doing this, we'll see how it goes here. Just trying to create some value, some toning on the nose here. So keeping that light at the top and the darker at the bottom. Sometimes I pick up my brush and I'm using just one edge versus the other. That makes sense. But that creates that value we're looking for. Okay, so hope you can see it. That it's a little bit, it's lighter at the top, darker at the edges. Oh, I'm starting to run out of paint on my edge here. So I'm coming back in with I just touched up the dark paint. Trying to fill in that edge. And then I'm using my light edge to just true up the top. Okay. All right, I'm going to switch over to a smaller brush. And I'm going to use white to start filling in the eye shape. Now the eyes, you can do whatever you want. I mean, you can make the eyes black if you wanted. I don't like to give the students black usually because I think that children are secretly emo because once they have black, like everything has black, and black is such a strong color. They just like blah, it blacks everywhere. And I think their results are a lot less successful. So I'm just using the fatness of my brush. It's a flat edge brush, right? Okay, so squared off flat end brush. And when you twirl it, it helps you to create a circular shape. Just try to have them a similar size on each side. We're going to let those dry. I'm going to come back in with either a Sharpie or a black paint marker to fill in the pupil. I think they'll have a lot more control with a Sharpie or a paint marker, and they'll have more successful eyeballs. Okay, oops, it keeps getting bigger and bigger. Come on, Mrs. Johnson. Getting a little out of control there. Now, they can get a little creative with that eyeball. They could put in highlights or eyelashes and do little things to make it unique to them. All right, for the nose, I am going to use the lightest pink. I don't want it to be white like the eyes, right? I want the eyes to stand out. And then you can make it a triangle, like the boy just wants to, I am making it a triangle. Or you can make it into a heart-like shape. I might even, I'm seeing if I can get away with this brush, but you might even want to give them a smaller brush, because if it's challenging for me with this brush, it's going to be way harder for them. That's why I like to test these out. I test projects out with you guys, and then it tells me how much more time and effort it's going to be for them. Okay, so I probably would give them a little round brush, tiny round brush. Okay, there's my nose. Or I could have just made it an upside down triangle shape. Now for the ears, I'm going to come back in, and I could rainbow roll the ears too. I might do that. Put a little light on the side, but you just want that to stand out different than the background. Meh. I didn't really rainbow roll, so I just put a dab of light on. Good enough. So I'm putting a corner of white, and then I used the darkest of my values. So it's kind of it's not really a true rainbow roll because I didn't do it out on my plate. But it's giving a variety of tones. Meep. Okay, I do want them to blend a little bit. This one's better than this side. Let me see if I can redo this side. Now that my brush is better. Yes. Just needed to mix on my brush a little bit more. Using just the light corner. Okay, so now I'm hoping that my legs and arms are dry. So there's two sizes of brads. I only have the small brads right now. So depending on the thickness of your cardboard, I do recommend getting the longer brads because sometimes it's really hard to get them to fit. So here's where we start talking about the steam. You're like, where is the steam part of this project? The stem part of this steam project. So yes, this is an art project, and we talked about value. That is the main element of art that we're focusing on for this project. But if you want to make this cross-curricular, you can start talking about either mechanical engineering. So the concept of, oh, this hole is not big enough. The concept of a simple machine like a lever or a hinge here. Now this is actually a tool for leather. This was actually my great-grandfather's. And this is what I use to make my punches. And I will put like my art rag underneath. And I just push it through. So I like have the art rag under, punch it through. And then I'll have my shape over where I want it to be. Now in this case, I'm putting the leg behind. Now here's where you see that these are small, a little small for this thickness of cardboard. If you were using a chipboard, it'd be fine. So you kind of have to squeeze to get that brad to have enough end to bend them over. To bend them over. Okay. So we were talking about, okay, mechanical engineering. So like a lever, like a simple machine. An example of that would be like a door hinge. Okay. Or it's a fulcrum point. Fulcrum point actually would be better. Okay. Or you can bring a anatomy element to this and talk about joints. So human beings have two main kinds of joints. The hinge, which is your elbow and your knees, a hinge joint. And so like I was just saying, this is like the hinge of a door, right? Okay. So you can talk to kids about the hinge, but is your shoulder and your hips, which essentially this would be the hips, right, of the bear, are they a hinge joint? Do you know the answer to that? And you're like, well, obviously you're setting us up for this. So no, it's not a hinge joint. It is a ball and socket. So then you can talk to the kids about the difference between a hinge joint and a ball and socket. And that this project, even though these brads are working as hinges, these two joints on a body are a ball and socket. And this is what allows us to do that full rotation of our shoulders or our hip joints, not just making arms go up and down like this, which is what we would do if we had just hinges. We'd be like, meh, meh, or they would hinge this way, meh, meh, and you wouldn't be able to do full range of motion. So those are two great ways to connect cross-curricularly and turn this into a STEAM project. Okay, so I've got my joints all together. Ooh, the edges are a little bit wet. This little doobie got wet here. Let's see. Oh, sounds like somebody's home that I didn't know was home. There we go. Touch up. Little touch up never hurt anybody. Okay. So then I had a wondering. What if I put a heart in the bear's hands? This is why I made the hands this way. Okay. So you probably are wondering, like, why are the hands weird like that? You can stand like this, or you can sit. All right. So I decided to make a heart. And now, if you had time, this might be a whole second day thing. But I would paint this a different color. Checking on my friends on Instagram. You're still there. Hello, friends. Okay. So I would probably put this into some kind of a contrasting color. So purple, blue, green. And then you could do value again. I really, really need new white paint. We're running out. And you could do different designs so that this matches up. And of course, I made it into two. And I'm going to tell you why in just a little bit. But for the sake of time, I'm going to fill it in with one color and then maybe do some different values over top if I have time here. Oh, it's a little wet. Probably should have pre-painted this now that I think about it first. Oh well. Oh well. Okay, so then I could do like some kind of design through, you know, whatever. I don't know. I was just had a wondering. So whatever you want it to be. You know, what would your students do? Lines and shapes and little things like that. Okay? Now, of course, it's not dry. And I don't want to get purple on my teddy bear because this is going to be my example in the studio. So do I have my hair dryer ready? No, because I had hot glue gun plugged in. So no, my hair dryer is not ready. Let's see if I can do that really quick. Hair dryer. Okay. Ooh. Look out. All right. Try not to let my project fly away here. Oh, are you kidding? Oh, the horror. Can you believe that? I wasn't looking. You stinker. You stinker. Okay. Sad face. Now I gotta repaint that. I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. Go figure. Okay. Let's re-dry this. Let me get the paint out of here. That's probably the problem. Okay. Okay. Trying to be fast. All right. And then we got to wash off our table a little bit. I think my table needs a good wash after today. All right. So my daughter broke my hot glue gun, but I would hot glue this on normally. But I found out this morning that the glue gun was non-functional. So that being said, I wonder if I have any tape or anything I can use. No, not, oh, I brought the tape upstairs yesterday. All right. Trying to not get the teddy bear a different color. But anyway, so what I would do is, okay, bring them together. And then, excuse me, and then when he unhinges, they would come apart. And then you could bring it back together. Okay, but they would be glued in the correct spot. Does that make sense? That was my idea. Okay, or you just leave the poor little guy alone and call it good. Okay, now coming back in with that black paint marker. It's up to you how you want to go about it, how big you want the pupil to be. Every kid's going to kind of make it different. But I would leave a little shine. And then I might true this up a little bit. Maybe even outline their nose. I need to make sure that I have art supplies that are just mine, because this is from the studio and the kids get the felt on the markers messed up. It makes it hairy at the end and it drives me nuts. Okay, good. Maybe you could add eyelashes or could probably should have left that alone. Sorry, you can't see what I'm doing. Okay. Mrs. Johnson, you know better. But this allows, because you to cover up any mistakes, you know, allows the children to be a little more successful. I can leave it like that. I could put in the eyelashes. I could put in little hairs for, you know, spots for the whiskers to grow out. I mean, you can be creative. Okay, but that's the gist. That is our DIY movable teddy bear. So the vocabulary we would go over is value, tint, gradation or ombre. You're going to teach them painting techniques, how to use a paintbrush, craftsmanship. You are going to make it cross-curricular by adding in mechanical engineering or anatomy, health class with hinge and versus ball socket joints. And then don't forget that mechanical engineering was a focal point, like a door, hinge, or a lever. Okay? Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And if nobody's told you today, I love you. And if this is your first time here, you are officially an ArtsyFartzy Club member. Yay! And do check me out for my in-studio classes. The ArtsyFartzy Club has in-studio, in-person classes in Tarpon Springs, Florida. And you can always visit me at the ArtsyFartzyClub.com. And I do have a page on Teachers Pay Teachers, and I will create an exit sheet, a take-home for parents to know what coordinates with this lesson. And you can find that on my Teachers Pay Teachers. And I will include the link below later today or tomorrow. So that being said, thank you so much for being here. If you are my people and you made it all the way to the end, make sure that you like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. And until we see each other again, I hope that you are absolutely artastic.